All right. All right, guys. I'm going to try this for the third attempt since both my mics went to go stupid yesterday and die on me. So, going to go over arm boards, dope cards. Got a couple questions here and there recently, and I know other people have done the video, but I figured why not put my spin on it. They can be as complicated or as simple as you want. I'm going to go over complicated and then work my way towards simple because it depends on what you're using it for and what your intent is, basically, like everything else in the precision marksmanship world. So off the gate, I'm going to show you what I would do if I was concerned about not having service to access a ballistic solver in my phone, or battery died, forgot the Kestrel, dropped off the side of a mountain, any other excuse that made you not have it when you needed it. So I would do this obviously at home. I would just Google the atmospheric conditions that are expected for the area I was going to be shooting in, and then I would knock this out. So initially, I'll just label the gun in case I have multiple, if I'm bringing two different calibers or two different types of bullets. So again, I'm using my 308 that's running at 2705. I just did 500 DA just to keep it simple for the example. You could do whatever you want or however many you want, just to have multiple options. In this typed up version, I go from 200 to 1190. So I have my 10s, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 across all the way to 90. And then I have my hundreds, 2 down to 11 or 1100 here on the left, and then I just fill in accordingly. Initially, I will go two numbers past the decimal or the hundredths place because I want to see the trends on those to round up or down. You could do it like as you go if you want to. This is just how I do it. I'm a little bit more excessive, I guess you could say. So, I go 0.47 for 200. I go 0.60 for 220, even though it's a 0, because I just want to see it so I can gauge how it's going. Because in some of these, you can see here at like the 550, 560, and 570 mark, there's actually even starting at the 540 mark, there's kind of some big jumps. And you'll see when we get to the next example, the rounding, you'll have like a weird, tenth of a add a tenth, add a tenth, add 2/10. And so I want to make sure I'm adding 2/10 where I feel is correct. Yeah, so that's basically how I started off. Now, normally I would just go over the same card to save paper. But for the example, I just went to the next box. Let me check the camera really quick to make sure it's in focus. Okay, cool. So again, like I said, I start rounding. You can see 0.5, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.7, so on and so forth. Nothing super crazy. Again, we get back to that 500 spot I was talking about, where we end up with 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, then a 3.8 jump and a 3.9 jump. Again, so I was kind of looking at it back at the old numbers, where we had a 352, a 364, 375, then a 387. So I decided to go with the 3.8 as opposed to a 3.7 for that 375. Typically, I'm going to round down anything that is 4 and below and round up 5 and above. In that particular instance, I'm going to look at each number and see which gap is bigger, and probably go with the bigger gap. That's as scientific as I get. It's just as I'm looking at it, that's how I look at the couple behind, couple ahead, and I'm like, yep, this makes more sense to go up instead of down, or down instead of up. However you want to do it, that's on you. That's just the way I do it. Makes me feel more comfortable with picking my numbers as I go through when I need to. And then again, this would be normally done on the same card. I would just erase numbers or rewrite over in pen. For the example though, I want it to be kind of clean and neat. So I'm going to go to the next one where I did go over in marker. All right, cool, we can see it. So I just rewrite all the same numbers in marker. What I do just to help me be able to see the numbers and find them faster is I pick two colors. So for this example, I did blue and black, as you can see. So it's just blue, black, black, blue, black, black, blue. And it just kind of makes that diagonal line across all the blues, then 2 rows of black, blue, 2 rows of black. For me, when I'm trying to find a number, if I say, I need 720, I can do 7 and 20. I hit that blue number. So in case I have to go back up and start dialing, and for whatever reason, somehow I forgot the number that quick when I'm on the clock, if I'm competing and on a stage, I can look back down and know I'm looking for the blue number, and it'll just pop faster. It works for me. It resonates with my eye. It makes sense in my head, and it clicks. Kind of like, I tell people, like, which reticle should you choose? The one that resonates with your eye and your brain is the one you should use. So you may not like this style of how I highlight it. You may not need to highlight it at all. Again, whatever resonates with you is how I think you should do it. This is just an example of the way that I do it because it is efficient for me. Now, this is obviously at home where I can print and cut these and make them nice and pretty to fit into the arm board in the sleeve. Again, because this is like an overarching DA style card, this would normally go inside in one of the 2 protected ones. And then for a match, I would have one out here that is just specific for the stage, which I'm going to get into here shortly. Let me get this out of the way. Just a quick example here. I basically did the same thing I did with the typed up one. So let's say I'm traveling and I get to the hotel or the Airbnb or wherever, and I need to do this because I forgot to, didn't have time, whatever excuse I'm coming up with to say I didn't do it now I need to do it tonight before I get out to where I'm going the next day. I will make this a little bit smaller and less detailed. As you can see, I go by 20s, and then I go out from 2 to 9, basically because I am pretty good now with the same gun, having shot it for a while, where I can look at 0 and 20 and see the difference. Obviously here at 200, it makes no difference, so the 10 would probably be a 0.5 or a 0.6. So it's not going to cause me to miss at the distance anyway, unless it's like a quarter MOA target, which I'll probably miss anyway because that's hard as heck to shoot. But if you get out to here to like 700, I'm looking at 700 flat by 5, 720 is 5.8. So then it's going to be 5.6 or 5.7. It just depends on what I feel like choosing for that particular target in that moment. But it's not a complicated math problem. I can figure it out. I'll just pick one or the other. So again, that's why I think it's a little bit easier. Main reason also on top of that is, one, this takes less time, but it's also cleaner for me to write the numbers because obviously I have like OCD, so I'm going to go off the lines. I'm not going to just like make up my own lines. And I can write the numbers clean and clear and concise. And then like I was saying before, I would take this card and I would just slide it in here. And then that would be like my main card for backup for the Kestrel, like I was saying, or phone app. And then I would flip over, have this one in here, but whatever I'm going to get in here, I can literally pull from here and pull all the data right on a new card. If I'm shooting a stage that's got 5 targets, then I can just do the 5 target switch. Getting into that, boom, look at that. So competition cards or stage cards, dope cards are going to be a little bit different. As you can see, and by a little bit different, I mean a lot different. I'm only going to write the information for the targets that I'm engaging. I will label. So in the example, like I said, 5 targets, 1 through 5. The dopes, I always do the dopes first. That's just the way I like to do it. Probably just because in the military, that's what we would always, that's kind of how we train to do it in a specific order. So I just kind of stuck with it because it's already like seared into my brain. And then I do a backup of range. So basically that will let me know, again, 235 yards, 0.7, that makes sense. Now if I had 735 and a 0.7, then I would know I messed something up somewhere and I need to correct that. So if I know that the target distance was correct, then I can, again, pop that open. 235, 240, okay, that should be 0.7 because 235 is almost 240. 0.7, that's why I would apply 0.7 instead of, whatever random number I had. If it was 735 and I had 0.7, pop that open, go to 740. Okay, I'm probably gonna go with 5.7 or 5.8, slap that on the gun, and then get back to work. Lastly, I will label the targets. This changes up a little bit, but basically color, shape, picture of the shape. I don't always do a picture of the shape, but I will do color, so white square, X square. Because again, if there's an X on it, that's an identifying feature that's more important than the color, unless there's a white square with an X and then a blue square with an X, then I will do white X or WX or BLX. R, red for circle, and then draw the circle. Here, like I mentioned a second ago, for colors, black and blue, I would do B just for black, BL for blue, just because that makes sense to me instead of doing it the other way. Probably because there's usually more black targets than blue targets that I've come across. So B became primary for black and BL was the oddball to me, and I made it BL for blue. That's the only reason. Again, like I said before, do it however you want. But that's basically how my stage chart's going to go. And then usually I'll write stage 1 or stage 2 or whatever on there, just so I know what it is. And then I can flip on the back and write notes after the stage. They're like, hey, you missed this target because, or you trended here, or you did well, or you timed out because you were moving too slow, or you had a whole bunch of time, but you missed half the targets. Like, slow down, dummy. Whatever notes I need there in the moment so I can look at them later. Unless they're pertinent for the next stage where I can easily look at that while I'm prepping the next card and see if I need anything in there to remind me of what I need to do to increase performance for the next stage. Now, if the wind is tricky, as you can see, I got some wind brackets here. If wind is tricky and it's throwing me off, or I'm just not sure because what I'm getting up here at the firing line, I don't know if that's the same as down at the target or in between the target, I will do the same information, numbered targets, dopes, ranges. I think I put Y's in here just for the example. I was trying to make it pretty, but obviously if I'm working in yards, I won't write Y because everything will be in yards. If I was working in meters, everything would be in meters. I would know that. So I don't need to write because I'm not going to switch back and forth. That would be silly. Our targets again with their labels. And then I would start off with my mile per hour gun, so a 5 mile an hour gun. That's going to be the standard wind call based off of the distance. And then for 5 mile an hour guns, I go two down and two up. So I have something to work with. So as I shoot, make a correction, I can look back and see like, oh, I had to knock off a tenth to get 2/10 to get back to center because I'd clipped the edge of the target. So I know that means I'm probably working with a 3 mile an hour. So on the next target, I'm going to start with the 3 mile an hour assumption and engage. And if it changes again, if I had to knock a tenth off, then I got to go lower than that. So it's maybe a 2 mile an hour wind. Or if I had to go up, I would work back into these other brackets. Now, when I'm running a 4 mile an hour gun, I don't have an example here, but I will do 4, 8, 12. And that is because the numbers itself spread out enough and make enough sense where I could do, 4, or my mile per hour gun, twice my mile per hour gun, and 3 times my mile per hour gun if necessary. But that would be, just like this one, right? I'm do 2 up, 2 down for 5, 4, 8, 12 for a 4 mile an hour gun. That's usually only going to happen for the first 2 stages. Once I've got a grasp on the wind, then these columns are going to change. These numbers are going to change based off of what I've been seeing and how the bullets have been performing to confirm or deny what the wind is doing. So they just get more and more accurate as I go. Ideally, hopefully, as long as I'm hitting and things are going good. And then that's how that would develop. So, again, like I said, I would have it slid right in here. Let me make sure this is lined up correctly with the camera. Yep, so I just slide it in here, and then that way if I have get it all the way in, so I can see everything I needed, boom, and then just slap it on my arm. I'm ready to rock and roll. And again, like I said, if there's something weird with the dope, I wasn't sure, pop her open, double tap with that, confirm, make sure it's good, close her back up, rock and roll, and do my thing. So basically that's what I do for onboard dope cards. Onboard itself, I like to have one that's got the ability to open and store that secondary card in there, and then all my spare cards. So usually this one that's empty right now, I just have a bunch of blanks that I could pull out from my thing, and then my pen would just slide up in the pen holder, and then that way I've got everything I need on me at all times to work those and not have to dig in my bag and like burn up time because it's digging around looking for stuff that I needed immediately when I can just keep it right there on my arm. Any other kind of, obviously, card, I don't even know what kind this one is, to be honest. It just works. I got it from work. I've had a couple different ones. I just, like I said, I like the ones that have a flap as opposed to no flap, because I can do more with it and it's not super bulky and going to cause an issue. So, all right, guys, if you have any questions, please drop a comment, let me know, and I can go over some more stuff in reference to these if necessary. But I think that kind of does a good job of coming up with a good baseline to start, and then you just manipulate it as you need to. All right, guys, later.